You are live. I am live in the live stream, because it's a live stream, doing the stuffs and the things and the stuffs and the things in the live stream, because it's a live stream for a live stream, doing live stream stuff in the live stream, talking about the stuffs and the things and the stuffs and the things, yeah, in the live stream. Ugh. Fighting allergies as always in the live stream, because it's a live stream. Not really because it's a live stream, but just kind of because, my face sucks like that. In and out of the live stream. Doesn't have to be limited to the live stream. My allergies are stupid. Everywhere. I didn't take my allergy meds before I started this, which is fun. Hello. Welcome. All messages. Back-to-back nights, eh? Yeah. Happens every now and then, Just could do a live stream. Wanted to do a live stream, so doing a live stream. Happy to be here as always. I would love to do live streams just a lot more regularly in general. I just don't always have the time to do that. What can you do? But we're here now. We are here now in the live stream. Talk about, whatever we talk about, theism versus atheism. No reason to believe in a God. No reason to believe the Bible. I've gotten a lot of people lately trying to use the Bible as justification for religion, or why we should believe in a God, or saying, oh, the Bible says this, the Bible says this. I don't care, genuinely. So many people think that the Bible is it's the word of God, so I can just throw that at them. It doesn't work that way. Whereas the woman you live with, she is heading home from work. Should be home soon. And then we'll see if she ends up on the live. She's not required to, obviously. Yeah. It's almost like some people have I don't know. I want to know why I should care about the Bible. And people will start quoting the Bible at me, this is how you should live your life, this is how the world works because it's in the Bible, and whatever else. And I don't believe the Bible. So just wondering where that gets us and why I should care. I haven't been posting as much lately. I'm doing a lot in my personal life. Just kind of haven't been posting as much. I want to get back to making content. I at least can I feel like substitute some of my lack of content for with live streams. I'm at least doing some live streams, We at least have that going for us. Sure, I can't prove myself right, but you can't prove me wrong, so I win. There are some people who don't understand that which can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Hitchens' razor. And I definitely agree with that. Favorite Halloween movie? Probably Hocus Pocus. I think it'd be Hocus Pocus. Never seen it? Is I? It gets carried a lot by nostalgia. You know, it's really nothing too terribly special, but like, it's I. Should probably turn the Xbox off. Like Coraline, I actually haven't seen that. Haven't seen like any of those like Tim Burton ones, like Coraline, Paranorman, Corpse Bride. I haven't seen any of them, which is crazy. I feel like I would like them. I just feel like I need to kind of sit down and watch them. It was spooky, but so interesting. That's always good. I think my child's yelling at me. What? I know! She's excited because Taylor just got home. I was raised in Christianity. We were told we weren't good enough for God simply for being born. So much abuse and terrible things the people did and or said and justified it as their religion. My best friend was murdered and they told me it was God's plan and I'm living in sin for grieving. Such a toxic religion. There's a lot to unpack in comments like that. It's just the deep fucked upness of Christianity and a lot of organized religion in general. And different ideas that different denominations and churches will have. Like there are some who, I've heard some pastors and preachers preach against things like grieving and mourning. Like what are you grieving for? You know, they're going to heaven and it's all part of God's plan. You shouldn't be upset and whatnot. It's like their mom just died. No, shame on them for grieving. You know, you're right. Shame on them for grieving. You know, how dare you? and it's such a weird it's such a weird balancing act when it comes to Christianity. Because a lot of Christians, not giving a blanket statement, but a lot of Christians think that they are just so special and God's chosen beloved people and that everything in their life is going to go great and that they're the saved sacred ones in this fallen world of sinful heathenist demons. But also, on that same note, they're like garbage, despicable, you know, worthless, don't deserve anything good, don't deserve God's love. They're lucky that God even takes note of them, like all that. It's like, it's such a very odd and disgusting, because they're both terrible mindsets to have. I'm better than you is a terrible mindset to have, and I'm absolutely garbage and no one should love me is also a terrible mindset to have. Do you have any tattoos? I have 4 tattoos. But both of them are just a terrible mindset to have. And I don't understand how, but Christians and other religions somehow find a way to combine them in just a very, 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 very bizarre way. The Bible literally says many will fall away. You're fulfilling prophecy and you don't see that? Do you not see the danger you are in? Please repent. You are still alive. The world's not ending, guys. It's not. We're not in the end times. And I feel pretty confident in saying that, given that every generation for the past 2,000 years has supposedly been living in the end times and been the last generation and whatnot. We're not living in the end times. The prophecies are bullshit. Don't worry about it. It's this kind of hints at some of the fail-safes built into the Bible. Like, many people will fall away, but that's the time for you to be stronger in your faith, because it's the end. So that when more people are leaving, we have that automatic reaction in place. We already have a thing set in place to where when people start to leave, we have that mindset that manipulates and forces people to try to take their religion more seriously and stay true to the fold and be more proud of how they're sticking to Christianity, even when so many are falling away in these dark end times. It's manipulation, and it's just wrong, and it's just nonsense. People are not falling away because of Satan or evil or whatever. They are going away because Christianity is harmful nonsense. And living in 2025 and with the access to modern scientific understandings of the world, we don't need the magical anymore. And it's becoming more and more and more obvious and harder to ignore that we just have no reason to believe in any of the magic anymore. And that's why people are leaving. It's not demons, it's not sin, it's not whatever. It's just people figuring out more and more. And especially with things like social media, helping everyone stay connected. Know that, like, if somebody has thoughts of doubt, they can go on social media and see that they're not the only ones. And you can build communities based on that. That's one of the great things about social media, because especially here in this country, we have a lot of people who don't believe, but who are in areas where they are surrounded by believers and they feel alone and isolated. And social media allows them to have that connection to other people like them and build communities, even if they can't have physical, communities in their lives. There's a lot of factors that are playing into people falling away from Christianity. And I don't think a single one of them is demons. How do you feel about Charlie being shot? I don't support violence. I think if you have a problem, murdering it shouldn't be the solution. I don't agree with Charlie Kirk's anything, really. The whole MAGA Trump movement is terrible and harmful, and is making the world a worse place to live in. I'm not going to say I'm going to miss him or the harm that he was helping do, but this was not the solution. It's not. This is not the solution. It's just not. And it's sad, it's infuriating, and it's scary living in the world we live in and seeing that it's just all going to shit and it's not getting better. And this doesn't make anything better. And I don't know what to do. It's one of the reasons I'm here. Just I know that me making content doesn't do anything, but me making this content is the most that I can do to try to make the world a better place. So I'm here. But my heart goes out to his friends, his family, his fans, his wife, his kids. I mean, I'm really upset that this is the world that we live in. Deeply upset. I did watch the video, and you might be making a good choice just not to. It's, it exists. I didn't watch the close-up one, but it's, yeah. Hello, sir. As a Hindu, I respect atheists and I am religious, but there is a saying in Hinduism that donating as an atheist to charity is the best example of a deed done well. An atheist donating to charity is the best example of a deed done well. Okay, yeah. And anyone considering watching the video, it's Charlie, having a conversation, spreading his bigotry and whatnot, just right in the middle of it, and then he just gets fucking murdered. Just nothing about the video nothing about the clip is good, and it's just awful. So like, don't don't watch it. Don't feel bad for not watching it. I just, it's and older generation says that our younger generation is soft. We watch shit like that on the internet on a daily basis. When I was in grade school, no, middle school, 7th or 8th grade, there were kids in my class watching ISIS behead someone. Just in class. Like, we're so desensitized. We had another school shooting. Kirk's news is kind of overshadowing that a little bit. Not trying to downplay the assassination, but like, we had also included in today's news, we had another fucking school shooting. And we just keep having them. And I just feel like the younger generation is so desensitized. The amount of younger people I see whenever there's like a thing like, NASA says there might be a meteor coming towards Earth that has a chance of striking it. So many younger people are like, fucking do it. Like, let's go. Like, we're just so done. Everything is awful. And we have the internet to just put it directly in our face and let us not forget about how awful it is. We can't look away. Guy has 2 small children and a wife, was in the prime of his life at 31 years old. Yeah, it was. I don't personally support Trump, but what happened with Charlie was unacceptable. I completely agree. The close-ups just don't watch it. Yeah, I don't think I could do. I watched like the far shot, and he just like, you just kind of see him jerk and fall back. You don't see any of it. His last word was violence, you know? He died as he lived, spreading hatred and bigotry. And that's just kind of the facts of the case. But he did not deserve that. It's bad. Don't like him. I don't like him. Can't say I'll miss him or the harm that he was helping achieve in this world, but I wish it didn't. I wish it didn't happen. I genuinely wish it didn't. Not to mention, you know, it's already happening. The more right-wing conservative Christian side are already using him as a martyr against the more left-leaning, you know, people like me. And it's going to make things so much worse. Even if his death would have made things better, it wouldn't justify anything at all. But it's probably going to make it worse. So just like that cherry on top. I was just thinking about the beheading video earlier today when I saw the assassination news. Yeah. I saw a comment and it said, "Can the 7 trumpets sound already?" Now, that was actually kind of funny. Maybe. I mean, fucking, let's just go. You know, like I was just a few minutes ago reading about people saying we're living in. I still have the comment pulled up. People saying we're living in the end times. You know, there's the fulfillment of prophecy. All the people falling away from the faith. Tell them to hurry up. Tell them to hurry up. I feel like I never watched Futurama, but I feel like that old dude. It's like it's a meme. It's the old dude or like a clip. He's like, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. That's where I'm at right now. And like I laugh and I smile about it, and I know it's just because I don't know what else to do. It's just so awful that it's funny and not funny at the same time. Don't do that. It's bad. It's just bad and terrible. And shootings are already a huge problem in this country. But now we've had a rise of both successful and attempted assassinations. And it's just, I don't feel like they're going to be the last ones. I feel like that's going to continue. That's going to be a continued trend, just like school shootings. Like, it's just going to kind of keep happening. And holy shit, you know? Hey, what's good? After I saw his death on constant replay after the young lady on the train getting stabbed in the neck, I knew I had to turn off social media. It's terrible. We don't live in a good world. Bye, Mr. Monkey. How can you say it's hatred when he tells people to stop being so entitled, work hard, be kinder, and you can't choose your identity because you're born with it, and be responsible, don't kill your kids? Curious, what do you think? I think some anti-trans bigotry, some racist bigotry. I mean, you even mentioned because you can't choose your identity because you're born with it. And to an extent, I can agree. 'Cause I've been pansexual and non-binary for as long as I can remember, even back before they were really ideas that I knew about, you know? I've never been a very masculine individual because I'm non-binary. That's just who I am. And I've been attracted to males and females for as long as I've had attraction, you know, even when I was younger, before it became sexual attraction, because attraction doesn't become sexual attraction until you get older. You're right. You don't choose it. You are born with it. But that's not exactly how Charlie puts it. I'm not exactly here to speak ill. Trying not to. But yeah. And supporting Trump and MAGA and all the things that they are doing is bad. I was having gay thoughts for as long as I can remember, like 5 or 6 years old. Yeah. Did any of you have like little crushes on this person or that person when you were in like kindergarten or preschool or first grade? I did too. And some of them were boys. For as long as I can remember. And I tried not to be. You know, I tried to pray the gay away, especially when I was taught that any same-sex thoughts and attractions were Satan whispering in your ear trying to tear you away from God. I tried to force him out of my brain, to force Satan out of my brain and whatnot. Didn't work, because it's just who I am. And finally, when I was in my early 20s, I just accepted it instead of trying to fight against it. I understand you're not binary, but I don't think you understand you're one of the few normal ones for real. I don't like that you used that word. You're one of the few normal ones for real. What does that mean? Can we go into that a little bit more? I remember thinking I was ill or something around grade 6 because I was in love with my male best friend. Yeah, there you go. Something like that. This video got a lot of comments on it. I'm gonna just scroll through. Read the Bible, read the Bible. I have. Repent, no. There's problems with Christians, yes, but there is no problem with Jesus. There's a lot of problems with Jesus. There are people who say, like, oh, you're basing your dislike towards Christianity on Christians and how the church and what the church did. No, I'm reading the Bible. Actually, I'm doing both, if I'm going to be honest with you. Reading the Bible and what it says, and then seeing what that's become. Hello. Sorry if that sounds bad, but how can you see it? I just want you to elaborate on it a little bit. I'm one of the few normal non-binary people. How can't I see it? I don't know, man. Is it because I don't paint my nails anymore? I used to paint my nails all the time. I stopped when Trump got elected, honestly, out of fear. Now I kind of keep them off, partially out of fear, but also partially out of like aesthetic wise. I love having my nails painted, but I'm terrible with upkeep. Like I always dye my hair blonde. I love having other colors in my hair, but I'm terrible with upkeep, and it all looks like green washed out shit like 2 weeks later. And the person who does my hair does it all for free, and I'm not gonna have her. I'm not gonna ask her. She'd happily do it, but I'm not gonna ask her to spend the extra time and resources to give me blue streaks in my hair just so I can wash it out 2 weeks later. I'm terrible with upkeep and stuff. And so I kind of like not having to upkeep on the nails, even though I do miss the way they looked. But also, if I wasn't so scared about the America that I'm living in right now under the Trump administration and how people with painted nails are treated, I probably would go ahead and paint my nails. But I don't know, man. I have my ears pierced, dye my hair, I shave my armpits, you know? I'm not afraid to act a little bit more flamboyant. Yeah, I guess I just haven't crossed the line. I think what he's trying to say is that you seem like a rational person, and a lot of media portray non-binary people as highly emotional and immature people who throw perpetual tantrums. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Even though it's not a very good representation. The LGBTQ you see on social media are the vocal minority, and of that vocal minority, you see very little into the full depth of who that person is and the nuance. When you say normal, you say this from a lack of understanding, perhaps. I've been in here several times, bro. Okay. Do you wear that shirt to show off your guns? No. I wear it because I have like restriction issues. I don't like being restricted unless it's like a flannel. I'll wear like well-fitting jeans, not necessarily skinny jeans, but well-fitting jeans and like a flannel, and like that's not restricting to me. But for some reason, sleeves are like all when I was younger, long sleeve shirts killed me. I hated them. Turtlenecks were the bane of my existence. I just felt too restricted and claustrophobic. And so I started cutting off the sleeve just because it just feels better. I can breathe more. And I know that's probably all just a bunch of mental fucked upness, but it feels better. Smoking's trying to Aura farm. She was back there for a minute. You seem like a good person, open-minded, not full of hatred, you know, stuff like that. Yeah. I just don't know. I mean, kind of like the others were saying, try not to base all non-binary people on the caricatures you see on social media. And especially the caricatures put out by anti-trans people and highlighted by anti-trans people. Same reason I don't wear pants, I only wear shorts. Yeah, I think I don't know. Pants are alright. Like, my favorite thing to wear is well-fitting jeans and a flannel with like a t-shirt underneath. That's like my comfiest of clothes. I'm very weird. Loose and flowy clothing is the best. Yeah. I don't mind it being a little bit tighter. But that's me. Very straight of you. Hey, Mama. Can you go get my medicine, please? I forgot to take it before I sat down.
Okay.
We should all just start wearing wizard robes. Dude.
Yes.
Mama.
What the heck is that?
It propelled down.
What the heck is that?
Some kind of spider.
Like, can you just kill it and rub it into the carpet?
It's right there. Ugh, and I walked through its web. Sorry. I'm literally sitting here and I just see a spider propel down and land on the floor in front of the table. It's fine. I have spider web on me because I walked through its web, but I got it. I got it. But like a couple of years ago, Taylor and I got capes with like hoods and whatnot from the Spirit Halloween store. And we're just like, we should bring back capes and like robes and stuff. Spider of Satan, watch out. Hey, maybe.
Now I have 3 robes. Or capes. I have 3 capes.
Yeah, you have a couple different capes.
I have 3 capes. I have a normal black one. I have a velvety purple one and a satin red one.
I know the social medias and algorithms can be sensitive sometimes. I don't know how they'd feel about me just taking medicine right on screen, so I go off screen. The spider was probably scared of the gentleman on your shirt. Maybe. I mean, the gentleman on my shirt showed up. I squashed. Did you pick it up at all? Oh, okay.
I don't have anything to pick it up.
Go get. Okay.
No.
I'll get it later.
I was getting your medicine. No.
Would you rather a bumbling fool like Biden to still be president? I hate both of them. A bumbling fool is way better than an actively malicious, conniving, bloodthirsty sociopath, pedo, rapist. I think that everything's going to hell with Trump and everything would continue going to hell with Biden. I feel like one of them was just louder about it. It's like, do you want the world to end in ice or do you want the world to end in fire? Like, I don't really feel like we had many good options between the two. And Harris, I feel like would have just been more Biden. I would prefer Biden. I mean, for the reasons that Doom said. You know, at least he wasn't actively trying to make the world a worse place and be malicious. I don't want one president. I want 3 co-presidents who can discuss things rationally. Maybe. Curious, but if I see so many on social media that it's like that, how do you know it's not the average?
Have you changed your chat?
I have changed my chat thing. I don't. But I know a lot of non-binary people, and I've seen a lot of non-binary people on social media who are just kind of calm and chill like me. So, and I would like to point out that I see a lot of people on social media who aren't calm and chill regardless of their association or their sexuality or anything like that. I feel like social media is a place for a lot of people to just come and scream and get excited and shout because that's what gets them views and pleases the algorithm and whatnot. And that's just kind of not me, you know. I'm just overall, regardless of looking at categories, just more calm. Biden is a bumbling fool. And Trump's a monster. It's a lose-lose. Because people try to project an image of themselves that's often not fully representative of all they are. They will speak up about things that affect them the most. And you can't help but be emotional when it comes to topics like that. You won't see them talking about chill stuff. They would rather speak privately about those things. Yeah. I think I agree with that sentiment as well. It got dark. Peanut, it got dark. Peanut, it got dark. Peanut, it's dark. Yay. Take it. Yeah. I feel like people are just people. I feel like people are just people. And that there are calm and crazy people in every shape, size, color, and creed you can think of. Trump was way better as an actor, just like Ronald Reagan. Maybe. Online is a lot more wrathful, emotional, and intense. It portrays a version of humanity that is a lot less composed than we all really are. Yeah. I've even seen people who have very like, loud and energetic online personas, and then they'll make videos explaining how like, hey, that's not how I am in real life, because there are people who will see them in real life and try to match that energy, and it's just like, I'm not like that on a day-to-day basis. I don't have that energy on a day-to-day basis. So you never really know. You never really know. I can't pick you up. I'll probably die. But I love you. That's a good point. There's a lot of crazy people in general. There definitely are. Trump was a terrible actor. He was still a better actor than leader. He was just kind of like, he was a good cameo actor, It's just like, just throw him in here and there as like the wealthy person, just to have him, just like, oh, it's an inside joke, what was his name, Waldo from Little Rascals, like, oh, Waldo's super rich, of course his dad's Trump, it's funny, it's like, it's just, it was just little fun little cameo things, I didn't really see anything wrong with them. Well, a cameo of a pedophile billionaire. Incredible. Fair. We have heard about Charlie Kirk. We were discussing that earlier. Hi. Maybe Mama can cuddle with you. I'm already fighting my allergies right now. If I pick you up, I will die. I love you very much. Humanity, Christianity, everything has problems. So yes, I agree. I'm on neither of y'all's side. Love everyone though. If God helps you, go love God. Cool. I can't help but say I'm relieved. I do find myself lacking some sympathy, I'll admit. And I don't like that. I mean, a lot of you know me. We were just kind of talking about, I'm the calm, rational, more sympathetic, caring person. But like I said earlier, I'm not going to miss him or what he was doing. But it is still tragic, and I still hate that it happened that way. And I hate that I don't have as much sympathy. I do hate. I hate that I am inundated with just such anger and fear and sadness over the events that are happening in the world around me, that it is starting to break my empathy. It's starting to break my care for all people, and I don't particularly care for that. I am an atheist. Trump got a $1 loan from his dad and turned it into $5 billion. He should have the skills to run this country well. I think he is a narcissist, though. Well, he doesn't have the absolute best track record of being a good businessman. He doesn't have the worst, obviously, and he's made a name for himself. He's done fine, but he doesn't have the best track record as a businessman. And a good track record as a businessman, I don't think will really help you run a country. Those are two separate things. You like little girls? I don't. Thank you. Yeah, you're being timed out. Thank you, Doom. You're being timed out. We don't need any of your bigotry in here. He was a human being, and I do forgive him for being evil, but at the end of the day, he was evil, and his absence will make the world a better place. Perhaps. Your feelings are your feelings, and you're allowed to have them. And at the same time, he was a human being. Yeah. Can't exactly mourn when Hitler perishes. Similarly, can't mourn when someone has contributed to so much bloodshed and suffering. Yeah. $1 million loan. Yeah, I was gonna call that out, but I just kind of decided not to. But yeah, no, you're good. Would have been better if he turned over a new leaf, but that's probably not happening. Yeah, I mean, he was still young. You know, I mean, shit, he had time to have that arc, or to fade out into irrelevance, or there there's so many better ways in which the harm that he was doing could have been stopped. Why do you not believe in God? I don't either, but I always find it interesting to know more perspectives. I just don't have any reason to. I've tried looking, I've tried finding and searching for any good reason, any good evidence, and have just come up completely empty. Just the absence of evidence, the absence of reason to believe is loud. It's so loud. What can you do? Or maybe not Christianity, but rather organized religion. It seems most have weaponized for power, control, and wealth. Yeah, and Christianity. And Christianity was kind of written into the Bible like that.
She's looking at me upsettingly because I have a letter on my notepad.
Damn, you just don't love her. But the thing is, you dislike him so much in one way. You couldn't see how he was helping in so many other ways. Maybe. Maybe. If Hitler found a way to cure cancer, should I have forgiven what he did? You know, if you beat your wife but sometimes bring her flowers, you're still abusive. So it's, you know. Do you think you searched because you wanted to fit in or for your own purpose? Personally, I was scared of the amount of times people told me I was going to hell, so I tried to find religion. I've never really been afraid of hell. I used to be a devout Christian dedicated to my faith, and I really initially dove into my studies to try to strengthen my faith and be able to better defend it. I wanted to become an apologist and go and spread God's light, love, and message throughout the whole world if I could. And it was in that I really started to see a severe lack of evidence. And then when I started making this content a few years ago, I expected to, come out and say that we have no reason to believe in God, and just be absolutely kicked in by people in the comments like, you're just an idiot. There's so much evidence. Here it is. And you're dumb. And I'd be like, oh, I'm dumb. Look, there is evidence for God. And then that didn't happen. And for 3 years, it hasn't happened. I'm still waiting. Of all this, the ocean of arguments and evidence and whatever else for the existence of any God, none of it is good. None of it is credible. None of it gets me there. And I see other atheist activists who've been doing this way longer than I have with the same story, and it's just like, damn, it's just really. I mean, I remember being sad when I was like a year into making this content, because I'm just looking at, all that has been presented to me and all the arguments that I found and whatnot. And I just remember sitting there thinking, is this it? Like, is this really it? Like, is this all we have to justify the existence of a God? Is this all we have? And it is. Charlie Kirk was not Hitler. That comparison is very hyperbolic. I'm saying, like, if someone... I elevated a little bit, but kept the two things equal. Like, genocide and, like, cure cancer that's, like, killing all of these people. I tried to, like, elevate it, and then I tried to bring it down to a more... I tried to hit both ends of the spectrum, and then bring it down to, like, somebody who hits their wife, but then sometimes brings her flowers. So I'm not trying to necessarily compare him. Comparison wasn't necessarily making Charlie Kirk to Hitler, as it was someone doing bad things but sometimes does good things, or does some good things. That's kind of where I was going. I'm sorry if I didn't really make that clear. He was an advocate for sexism and, in practice, domestic abuse, and he advocated for oppression against minority groups. While he wasn't Hitler, he certainly was a force of evil and tyranny. Yeah. Why do you think God was created in the minds of people? Comfort? I feel like the idea of God and the supernatural and the magical probably mostly stemmed from the first time a human or a human ancestor saw something, lightning strike, change of seasons, eclipse, sun rising and setting, whatever, and said, I don't understand what this is, it must be magic. I think it mostly comes, I think it stems from an area of ignorance. And it's also just been used as a good tool for comfort, a good tool for control, for power. It has a lot going for it that it can be utilized for, and it's kept it going. Hi.
Did you eat dinner?
Yes, I had a pizza.
Yeah.
Is Mama not paying attention to you? Well, wasn't it mostly the opposite? Is mostly all good things and questionable if someone is bad. I feel like it depends on where you're looking, because there's a lot of people who, are against the trans craziness that's been going on, and so they thought that Charlie Kirk speaking out against that stuff was good. So I guess it kind of depends on your position. The idea of God was created as an explanation for occurrences in natural before we had technology to actually investigate. Yeah, part of it. Snickers. Do you think Charlie's death is a step towards another civil war? That's a fantastic question. I don't really know that I have the answer. I don't think it's going to help the situation at all. I do think it's going to escalate things. Towards what, I'm not exactly sure, and how exactly, I'm not exactly sure. But I do think it was an escalation. I do. How do you harm people with your words? What? By being a prominent voice that a lot of people listen to and advocating and supporting people's ideas of bigotry and hatred. Helping reinforce. I mean, it's like, especially with Trump's first presidency, a lot of, and in this one too, a lot of racists and sexist, white supremacist groups coming out of the shadows and freely marching in the streets, feeling brave and empowered because they have people like Trump and his gang in positions of power, supporting ideas like this. So that's how. Emboldening people, empowering people, reinforcing their terrible mindsets, and what that can lead to and what it often does lead to. When you advocate for something, people listen. They take those words and translate them into action. They use them as a weapon to abuse and hurt people. Yeah. Beliefs inform actions. What you think, what you do, what people tell you, what you listen to on the media or whatever, informs actions. I do believe he fought for a horrible cause, and I did not agree with him at all. However, the message this sends to all American people, we can kill people who don't agree with, is so dangerous. Yeah. That and the other assassination attempts and successful assassinations that have been happening recently. Terrible. Terrible. It is setting, I feel, a new precedent where I fear that these political assassinations and attempts are going to become as prevalent as school shootings, where it's just going to keep happening more and more and more and more and more. And that's very, 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 very bad. That is not how we should. That's not how we should do things. Don't let it affect you, bro. That's not how humans work. In a sense, it's ironic. He died by a gun and fought for gun rights. It is a little ironic. He even said that, having people die from shootings every year is a cost worth paying for gun rights. He did say that, So the irony is not lost on me. Still shouldn't have been killed. Yeah, I just want to reiterate, beliefs inform actions. Words do things. When you have such a prominent figure up there advocating for harmful ideas and reinforcing people's harmful ideas, that does have real world consequences and can do real life harm. Words are not just words, especially when a lot of people are listening to you. What are you doing?
Getting pizza.
That's just how life works. That's how humans work. He literally said that women should submit, but his audience isn't women, so he's talking to the husbands and driving them to abuse their partners. He did have some, male and female audience, but yeah, it does help support this dominant, often abusive mindset that a lot of men have. Words do things. That's something that I don't think we can ignore. Women will submit if you are a good man. They will respect. Marriage is a partnership and equal bond, not a master-slave dynamic. I agree with Doom. There shouldn't be submitting in a relationship.
Absolutely not.
No one should submit. You are partners, together, equals. Do you believe that forgiveness is a dangerous thing, in the sense of Jesus dying for our sins because it gives evil acts an excuse? The Nazis wore belts that said something like, "We serve God." The idea that there has been people who have rightfully spoken of this idea that Christians, for example, can go to confession and get forgiveness from their God and ask forgiveness from God for things that they do, and that it helps clear their conscience, even if they, I don't think I have some mystical creator being in the sky that I can ask forgiveness for and then I'm good. I did the things that I did, and I need to be better and make up for any harm that I've done. That's how I live my life. I think that's how people should live their lives. And, forgiving yourself and moving on is important, but just putting it all in the hands of some imaginary being, and I say imaginary because for all we know, he is, and just letting yourself let it go can be pretty harmful. agree marriage is equal bond, but you can't say feminine and masculine energies is the same. Feminine, masculine energies are not the same, but they can be equal. We can forgive a person and simultaneously refuse to tolerate the continued behavior. We can let go of our hatred and scorn for a person and yet still imprison them to protect others. I have people in my life who were harmful to me and people around me all growing up, and I don't hold that against them. Some of these people are still doing the things that they did all growing up to sometimes me, but mostly to people that I love. I've kind of removed myself from certain situations and people. But there are people who are still causing harm to people that I love. If they stopped doing that and shaped up tomorrow, clean slate, and I wouldn't care. Especially because a lot of these people are people that I love and want to have a relationship with. But if they're gonna keep doing it, I'm gonna keep I'm not gonna forgive them for everything if they're still doing it. I find a hard time letting that go, and letting any negative feeling towards them go. That is what most women want to do.
I highly doubt that.
Yeah, Julian.
Strongly disagree.
Julian, I feel like with it's this, and I'm not trying to be mean, Julian. I'm really not. I'm really trying to be like helpful. With that comment and with your comment earlier about, how I'm one of the normal non-binary people, I feel like you have kind of a limited view of the world, a biased, limited view of the world. I don't feel like you're really seeing the full picture and the full representation of individuals in the fields that you're discussing. And I'm not trying to say that to be mean. I'm just saying it's kind of what it's sounding like to me.
They won't love a guy and they respect like a real man.
But they won't love a guy they respect like a real man. Yeah, Julian, I think you have kind of some one-sided, limited views of the world. And I say that just with all kindness and sincerity, not trying to be an ass. Also, don't say that stuff when Taylor's next to me, because she's
triggered. Very upset.
Taylor will be less nice about it than me.
I will so be less nice. I wouldn't even say most, Julian. I would not even say most.
No.
Absolutely not.
It's like when we spent like half a live stream talking about abortion.
Oh, that was the most active I've ever been on.
That's the most active
live
you've been in the live stream. I know, I keep sitting on the cord.
The most active.
The most active you've ever been.
I was heated. I was getting heated in that. And like, I tried not to because it's your stream, but like,
Most people want freedom and the choice to live how they want. They're very much vocal about this. Yeah. Humans are humans. Humans are humans. Straight people are humans. Gay people are humans. Men are humans. Women are humans. Old people are humans. Children are humans. Republicans are humans. Democrats are humans. Transphobes are humans. We're all people, human beings, and should be treated as such. Obviously, when we're doing something wrong or whatever, we should be called for it, but there's humans. There's no class system, where white people are better than black people. White people are humans, black people are humans, Mexicans are humans, Asians are humans, Christians are humans, Jews are humans, atheists are humans, Muslims are humans, Hindus are humans. It's where there isn't a hierarchy of humans. It's not how anything works, nor is that how anything should works. You say you've seen it too much. I just wonder if you have a limited pool of what you're looking at. It is very odd that you think you understand femininity more than women do. And I will say, there are a lot of women in this country who have been raised Christian and raised with Christian ideologies and told from a young age that submitting and stuff is what they're supposed to do and what is right. So that poisons things immediately. So when you're saying, there's a lot of these women who want submissiveness and whatnot, do they really, or has that just been drilled into their heads their entire life because of these Christian ideals in this country? All feminine women. Yeah, I don't know. I think the fact most women voted left indicates they want freedom, not to be controlled. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works,
You can be feminine and still want freedom. Yes, we should be allowed to vote. What kind of a question is that?
Do you think women should be
we
allowed
are
to
citizens
vote?
of this freaking country. Yes. Just because we don't get drafted doesn't mean shit. There are still plenty of women who enlist on their own.
I don't think men should be drafted either, if I'm going to be completely
I don't
honest
think anyone should have to be drafted. No one should be forced if they don't want to.
Women don't need to submit to you in order to be feminine. You don't get to decide for women how feminine they are. Women are human beings, adult human beings living in this country. They deserve to have their voices heard, just like everybody else.
We have fought way too hard to have people like you trying to take our freedoms away.
Yeah.
No.
We have seen some backpedaling on women's rights in recent years. That sounded bad, but isn't it true? They don't get forced to go to war.
I don't think anyone should get forced to go to war.
I don't think anyone should, first off.
That shouldn't indicate whether or not you get voting rights in the country that you live in.
Yeah, I agree. The entire draft system
we
is
all live here. We are all a part of this country. We should all be able to vote.
The entire draft system
I'm getting very heated now.
The entire draft system is just kind of fucked up anyway, and it is based on this idea of men being more stronger and powerful and therefore being more fit to go to war. That is what it's based on. There's a lot of messed up things about the draft system.
And I'm not going to disagree with that at all. But there are also plenty of women who enlist on their own, even if they don't get drafted. Just because we don't get drafted doesn't mean we shouldn't get voting rights or basic human rights, okay? Not how it works.
Removing the draft would hold the government more accountable to seek approval and rally people to fight for it. Maybe. Yeah, maybe if a lot of the nations of the world weren't run by fucking toddlers that can't get along with each other for more than 2 seconds. So then they have to send their pawns in, sometimes forcibly, to kill each other over whatever dumb thing that we're arguing about. You know, it's ridiculous. Hello. If the country was good, people wouldn't need to be drafted. They would be willing.
Seriously.
Yeah. If Trump starts a war, he's gonna need a draft because a lot of people aren't gonna go fight for his
No.
ass.
And even with a draft, a lot of people are probably going to be like, nope.
Yeah, fuck you. I don't. I'll fight for a cause worth fighting for, and because my toddler picked a fight with another toddler is not a good reason for me to go get myself killed in a war, to be bullet fodder. I think the best argument for atheism is why should God permit animal suffering? Suffering isn't essential in our world. We could have made all animals herbivores. He's supposed to be an all-loving God. That is an interesting point. Why carnivorousness is an interesting point to think about. I guarantee the people in the Netherlands would be very much happy to take up arms to defend their country and protect others. Yeah. You know? And at another period in American history, maybe I would have been more willing to go in and fight for the country. Maybe. God, I want to move to a different country. I don't know if anyone follows Eve Was Framed. She goes by Promise now. Which if I'm not mistaken what is like her name. But she moved to a different country. I think it's Finland that she moved to. And she's like living her best life and I'm super fucking jealous. Like it's so much better over there and I'm so jealous. I'm so happy for her, obviously, but I'm so jealous. I'd almost be willing to take up arms to defend the Netherlands. Almost. Yeah. Hell sells. It's their stock in trade. Nobody adopts the Christian life as much as they line up their fire insurance. It's part of it. That fear manipulation. Hello. I am an atheist. Okay, so I will give you a reason to believe in him. There is no way that there can be anything if he wasn't real, because he wants a relationship with us, Einstein. No, sorry. They didn't put any punctuations. He wants a relationship with us. Einstein said something cannot be created out of nothing, and the reason to follow him is because he is love, he is kind, and hell is the worst never-ending nightmare, and he doesn't want us to be there. It was created for the devil and his followers. Shouldn't exist. There shouldn't be a love me or suffer for all of eternity. He's not loving in the Bible. I don't think everything was created out of nothing, and I think most atheists don't, because what does that even mean? And just because you don't know how things got here doesn't mean it has to have been a God. Da, 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 da.
I'm still just triggered.
How would you feel if you how would you feel if you were a man and you found that sorry, the chat scrolled. And you found that you was getting drafted, going to war because of a whole bunch of women voted for this is wrong president? So how would I feel as a man if I was going to war because of the mistakes and stupidities made by a president that a lot of women voted for? Because men can't make mistakes in voting? Men can't elect the wrong person? What'd you delete? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, he immediately, I'm like,
Is he gone?
I had timed him out for the next 24 hours. But
I'm just gonna hide him from the channel. This is the second time he's done that.
Yep.
I don't know. Men can elect the wrong person too. What makes you an atheist and not a Christian? What premise do you come from? I mean, atheist and Christian aren't the only options, but I'm an atheist because I have no reason to believe in a God. I'm kind of a fan of absurdism. The idea, not necessarily that we came out of nothing, but that our existence is inherently absurd and irrational as its most fundamental level. It does seem pretty absurd and irrational. I wonder who makes better decisions on average. There must be some science. Curious for what I said, do you think I'm an asshole? I think you're misinformed.
I was going to say a very misguided person.
Dude really sat for 5 minutes waiting to say that again. Yeah, I kicked him. Is that Paramedes? Paramenides. I can't read. Said nothing.
Parmenides?
Maybe said nothing comes from nothing in the 50th century BCE. They commented the idea in philosophy. Okay. Is science your reasoning for not being Christian? My reason for not being a Christian is, one, I don't have any reason to believe in the supernatural claims made by Christianity, and two, Christianity is kind of awful and harmful. You're advocating for taking away people's freedom and rights against their will, on top of being actually sexist, so yeah, that's asshole behavior. Maybe. Good evening. Would you say there are any strong arguments for the existence of God at all? I haven't heard any, frankly. But that's just me, you know. I haven't heard any. Christian here. I was wondering if you, as an atheist, think that we are anti-science. Just wanting your perspective on us. Thanks. I think it depends on the person. You get, in any group, you get a lot of variations, and Christianity is no exception. There are Christians who are completely strongly against science, and there are some Christians who fully embrace science, and there are Christians everywhere in between. So some against, some are anti-science, some are not, some are somewhere in the middle. I love women. I was just saying that's how they will act on their own. How will they act on their own? What were you saying? How will they act on their own? Have you looked into Christianity to see if it's actually awful? I have. I was raised Christian. I was a devout Christian for the first 20 plus years of my life. Do you think women should have voting rights?
What'd you say?
That's just the pizza man. I waited until you closed the door. I'm just like, do you think women should have? Because like you open it and I'm like mid conversation about like how I used to be Christian and whatnot, and I'm just like, what must he? I got kind of quiet a little bit when he came in. Drag the pizza man into this. But yeah, yes. Sorry. I was raised Christian. I've looked into Christianity. I've lived in Christianity. wanted to be an apologist so I could properly fight for Christianity for a good chunk of my life. And now I'm an atheist.
Down a bit.
Pizza. My pizza was a little subpar today. It was a little rubbery.
Yeah.
It was a little weird. I don't know. I think it's maybe because like it thawed a little bit on the drive here, and then I put it in the freezer for a bit. But maybe I didn't like put it in the freezer long enough. So like maybe it was like it didn't need to cook as much as a usual pizza would need to cook, but I cooked it as much as a normal pizza would need to cook. Your dad makes awesome pizza. Well, good. I'm happy for you. I've had some awesome homemade pizza. I've had actually well-made homemade pizza because I've had some failed attempts personally. But well-made homemade pizza, I think, is probably like the best pizza I've had.
Didn't you let me try to make calzones one time?
We tried to make calzones one time.
Slightly failed.
Well, we looking at the calzone that we made, it was overcooked and like burnt, but it was still doughy on the inside. I don't think Taylor and I
Maybe
belong.
It was just too thick.
I don't think Taylor and I belong in the pizza making business. Is kind of what I'm hearing. Or you know,
Yeah.
maybe first attempt was the worst. You know, your first attempt at pretty much anything is gonna suck. So maybe.
I'm pretty sure, didn't I make you a pizza once? Pretty sure I actually made you a pizza once.
I don't remember. I'm
I
sorry.
think I did.
I probably should.
I remember being at my dad's house, getting that pizza crust, everything rolling it all out.
Vague memories. Vague memories coming back.
So many years ago.
What made you quit Christianity? Just seeing how awful it was and realizing how little evidence there was for the supernatural claims made in it. Really like Domino's pizza that they have by my town. Domino's is alright. I think Papa John's has been my favorite pizza, personally.
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut's just kind of like a good like go-to. It's a pretty cheap option and it's not bad. Like it's among it's somewhere in the middle. Like it's not the most expensive and it's not the worst pizza. So it just kind of like works.
Nola's.
I haven't had it very often, so I don't have as
I-
much of an informed opinion.
I like Nola's. I like Nola's pizza.
Do you believe that something can exist as a logical axiom in all possible worlds? That something can exist as a logical axiom in all possible worlds. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't have any other worlds to look at. And I know that may kind of sound like a way of trying to dodge the question, but I don't know. I have this world and this universe to look at, and this reality to look at. I have no idea if any other realities exist, what they would possibly look like, or if there would be any other possibilities of how this universe could have turned out. I have no idea what any of that would look like. So I genuinely have no idea. What denomination did you once belong to, if you don't mind me asking? This might have contributed or influenced your decision in apostasy. It was Catholic, and no. Because the last few years of me being a Christian, I was not denominational because I realized how awful Catholicism was and how it didn't really follow the teachings of Jesus. I'm getting ahead of you there, and maybe I should, and I'll apologize for that. But I just get really annoyed when people are like, "Oh, you're Catholic. That explains all of it." No, wasn't that simple. Not to say that you were saying that. I should let you speak, and I shouldn't get ahead of you like an asshole. Did I unpin my thing? I mean, I was gonna go unpin my thing, but did I unpin? I guess I unpinned it. I'm a Roman Catholic, don't worry. Well, good. Well, then great. That's perfect. See, this is why I shouldn't have gotten ahead of you and like an asshole. My parents won't let me go to organized church for that same reason. It's just me with me in my Bible. Makes sense, honestly. I feel like if you're gonna be Christian, the right way to do it would not to be to try to be away from the organized shit as much as possible. Hello? Doom's got him.
Both men and women are both capable of making dumb and stupid decisions, also both capable of making smart and sound decisions.
Yeah, I've just decided to kind of let Doom and Julian go back and forth. I got some other people that I can discuss with in chat. That, you know, they're having their own discourse. I'll just let y'all do their things. Would you make a distinction between the teachings, principles of Christianity and the way that it's practiced? Would I make a distinction between the teachings and principles of Christianity and the way it's practiced? Yes. And again, that would depend on different denominations, people. Some follow the Bible better than others. Some follow the teachings of their denomination better than others. Some follow, you know, this form of whatever better than others. But those are two different things, I guess I would agree. I am an atheist. Well, Jesus established his church through Peter. Yeah, in the Bible, I would agree. Although it is worth mentioning that in Acts we definitely see at the first like half of it, Peter being a more leader figure, and then Paul comes into the scene, and then we really just kind of shift focus over to Paul for really the remainder of the Bible, with most of the epistles being attributed to him, and you know the rest of Acts being following his story. So Paul does kind of take on more of that authority, leadership, influential position over the early church, over Christianity today, and things like that. What are your thoughts on psychedelic experience, meditation causing some to talk with God, and also near-death experiences? For me, this is enough evidence to believe in God. No. Especially like psychedelics. If somebody's like taking psychedelics, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but like if somebody's taking psychedelics and fucking with their brain, that's nothing. That's no kind of evidence for God. That's just you pumped crazies into your brain. But the brain does, even on its own without psychedelics, you know, with meditation and near-death experiences, the brain does a lot of brain stuff. And it tries to attribute certain things to gods that aren't necessarily gods. Near-death experiences, you're having a brain deprived of oxygen and deprived of stimuli, failing at its number one job, and doing all kinds of crazy things, and playing, you know, scenarios in your brain. And it's worth mentioning that a lot of near-death experiences, people will see things. Some people don't see anything. And some people see things attributed to what they've been taught to expect of an afterlife. You know, in a Christian majority country, or someone surrounded by Christian influence, they would see God, they would see heaven, they would see Nana, you know, up in heaven or whatever. In a Hindu dominant area, they might see Vishnu. In a Muslim dominant area, they might see Allah or Muhammad or, you know, whatever else have you. So that is worth mentioning. All of these things really just seem to be the brain doing brain stuff. I think would be a much better explanation. Paul's epistles had no impact on the Bible, pointing to him only. Had no impact on the Bible, pointing to him only. He was just a gifted writer, and all scripture was inspired by God. Therefore, it doesn't matter who wrote more of the Bible. Sure, but we do focus after the Gospels. There is much more of a focus on Paul than there is Peter. should probably end the stream sometime soon. Sometime. I'm at about an hour and a half ish. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I kind of like clicking on some of like these older videos that I have and like just scrolling through the comment section. I feel like I need to do that more often. These old videos where I'm sitting out in the garage or whatever, or sitting in my car. Just because Paul wrote more doesn't mean the church was founded by him. Peter went into hiding because of the persecution. If he wrote more letters, the empire could have tracked him down. Sounds like Paul was braver than Peter. Paul wasn't afraid of persecution, first off. Second off, Jesus founded the church. And then we do see Peter as more of an influential figure. But definitely in modern Christianity, we see more from Paul. And if Peter, the one in charge, went into hiding, that's on him. Well, don't click that. I had to double check my definition of axioms. To build off earlier question I had, do you believe that in logical axioms in this reality? I think that there do need to be some presuppositions, I guess I could say. Like, we can generally trust our senses would be something. We just kind of agree on that. We have some kind of, we do have some axioms that we need to lay as a foundation and kind of agree upon if we want any kind of foundation for learning about or understanding anything about the universe, because otherwise we're just, we have nothing to build off of. So I do think they are kind of important. Peter was the first pope. There was no magisterial document that teaches that Paul had a larger role in the church than Peter. Okay. If there's a cause for effect, what do you think happens when to your consciousness once you die? What is the effect? It can't just disappear. It can, kind of. So consciousness seems to be a result of chemical reactions in the brain. And when you die, those chemical reactions stop. So your thoughts, your feelings, your memories, all of that stuff just kind of go away. And you, and your consciousness and thoughts and feelings and all that stuff essentially cease to exist. I never believe in what women say. I believe what they do. It's just an interesting take. And yeah, it's like I understand, Peter being the first pope, especially according to Catholic tradition and whatnot. But I am saying in the Bible, he does just kind of fade out. I think Catholic tradition and doctrine kind of carries him further than the Bible does. You think the Spirit exists? Nope. I don't have any reason to believe that a Spirit exists. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I don't have any reason to believe it does. Julian, Taylor's getting frustrated with you.
I don't even think frustrated is the right word to describe my feelings right now.
It's just, I don't know.
On behalf of all women everywhere. Fucking.
As a reminder, women are just as smart as you, perhaps smarter. Yeah. Yeah, Doom. Women are, it's almost like women are people. Just like men. And if we want to talk about how great men are, men have been in charge for most of civilized history, including now. So, you know, all the wars and the genocides and, like, the stupid shit, that's on the men, mostly, and their leadership. I mean, Peter didn't write any book of the gospel. Does that mean he didn't have a large role, even when Christ told him to tend to the sheep? I can agree that he was the head, or at least one of the heads of the church. He kind of stood up among the apostles and other church leaders. I do agree with that. But then that's kind of it. You know, at the first half of Acts, we see him, you know, doing his thing, and then we just kind of leave him behind, and we have one letter from him later on. That we don't even know what was from him, you know? We don't even know how accurate how historically accurate Peter is. Think we would be friends IRL? Absolutely not. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've told you before. Us women don't need y'all. We don't.
I know Taylor doesn't need my ass. Trust me. Taylor has proven to be fully capable of figuring out any obstacle that is put in her path without my dumbass. I'm kind of emotional support. That's kind of just what I'm here for. Encouragement. She's the brains of this operation. Definitely. She is a strong and incredible individual. Drew, you are worthless. You know what? I might be. Compared to Taylor, you know, she is a strong and resilient and intelligent woman.
You're here because I want you here.
Who I'm here because you want me here. I'm good for emotional support. Doom, thank you very much. That is where my worth is. Not much beyond that, but you know, I'm here. Historically, the apostles didn't start the ministry for about 20 years after Christ ascended. Does that mean they all faded out? We don't really get to see that. We don't really get to see what happened to a lot of them. We know that James died. James the Greater, the brother of John's, died. And obviously Judas died earlier on. And we know like how they died in the story. But after that, it's just kind of what tradition teaches us. We don't have anything founded in Scripture or written down or whatever, anything solid of what even happened to them. We get that last little glimpse of them running the early church, and then the camera kind of just pans away. That's what we get from the Bible. So if we're generally trusting our senses, what separates one's lived experience from another? Also, why can't God be a logical presupposition? Because I'm seeing things. I'm hearing things. I'm touching things. There's no God. So the senses are much more there and much more useful as presuppositions than something that we have nothing for. Absolutely nothing when it comes to a God. We have nothing to build on, no kind of evidence for it, can't perceive him in any way, shape, form, or capacity as far as any of us can demonstrate. So he doesn't work as a presupposition. It's too detached from what is obvious to us. And what separates one's lived experience from another? Separate experiences. Individual people trusting their senses, trusting their individual senses. We have this combined social grouping where we can come up with concepts like logic and morality and whatnot. But that's from us combining our abilities and our intellect. We are still individual humans with individual experiences. I haven't been given compelling reasons to believe in any gods. Me neither.
I like Doom's message up here.
You like Doom's message? Mm-hmm. I think being wanted is far better than being needed. It indicates that they choose you, and we're not forced by circumstances to do so. I can agree with that. Listen. She doesn't keep me around because I'm useful. Let's make that perfectly clear. So I guess you're right. She wants me around. If the church has been around for 2,000 years, would you believe them if they had historical proof at the Vatican archives? I would need to see what it is. I would wonder why they've hid it for all these years. I would need to know what it is. Yeah. I guess that's my answer. I guess to clarify my question, why do you think people aren't perceiving a spiritual force while others are? I don't have any reason to believe anyone's actually perceiving anything spiritual. I think they're just perceiving something that their brain is categorizing as spiritual. As far as we can demonstrate, the spiritual doesn't exist. But we know the brain does brain stuff. We know that the brain does things wrong, and that it categorizes things that it witnesses as things that it isn't. And that the brain can be fooled, and it can be wrong, and it can make those categorization errors. That is a thing that the brain can do. So I think that's much more likely than anything spiritual or supernatural, which we don't have any kind of reason to believe. They never hid it, they protected it. The documents and archives. I would want to see them. I would want to see them. If you want to save the world, show your stuff. You know? It's just a weird thing to keep concealed for whatever reason. The best people I know hate themselves a lot because they are so critical of every mistake they make. Their sense of justice is unfathomably strong and vast. I'm overly critical of every single mistake that I make. It's pretty bad. Yes, you're overly critical. You're an incredible person, Drew. And see, naturally, I don't believe that. But thank you for giving Taylor ammunition. Because then, she tells me that I'm incredible, and I'm like, I don't believe that, because, you're my wife or whatever. And then she will say, but Doom and other people in chat also say you're incredible. And then I have to make up some excuse.
Random strangers also agree.
And then well, Doom's not a random stranger, but yeah, I know what you're saying. And then I have to make up an excuse as to why I shouldn't listen to you. Because it just can't be. I can't be a good, wonderful person.
Well, you
It does not compute. Because the best people always think about what they couldn't do. They're always trying to do better. You are complacent in your efforts. Maybe. What is conscience? What is coincidence? Sorry, I can't read. Coincidence is, I mean, you want like the definition. Coincidence is just something that, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna need to look up that. It's one of those words that you use and you know what it means, but you've never like really had to explain it. A remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connections. So like things that seem like, hey, it looks like those two things like were connected or whatever, even though you can't demonstrate that they were. I guess would be a good way to put it. I love when I get asked stuff like that. When I'm forced to question things that are just like coincidence. Coincidence is coincidence. But what is coincidence? You gotta think more. Do better. I like being challenged like that, so thank you for that. No religion can justifiably claim that its God is the one true God. Any claim of a one true God is false. Or at least unsupported, yeah. No, I want you to think, and I appreciate it. It is precisely this complacency and lack of self-reflection that lead you to these. It is precisely this complacency and lack of self-reflection that lead you to these bigoted beliefs that hurt those around you. I don't think you're talking to me.
No, definitely not talking.
I feel like you're not talking to me. Correlation is not necessarily causation, true. To hold tradition handed down by word of mouth or by letter, you should believe information handed down by word of mouth also is true. So, like, for the Bible tells me so doesn't really do much for me, if I'm going to be honest with you. The Bible says that we should trust this stuff, but we shouldn't. Have you ever played a game of telephone? You can't keep a sentence straight if you pass it down 5 people. And yet we're supposed to rely on oral tradition passed down generation of generation or generation to generation. Because that's what a lot of the Bible is. Some of this stuff was passed down for thousands of years before anyone ever wrote it down. And then it was written down in this language and then translated into this language and then retranslated and reinterpreted into this language. And it's like, it is the most extreme, intense game of telephone ever played. And if you can't keep a single sentence straight after 5 people, who the hell knows what the original stories in the Bible were? So no, I disagree with the Bible. Apostolic succession, yeah, except for like when there's been discrepancies and issues, and like that time the church had 3 popes, and like that time like we chose this person but then like didn't choose that person, and the time that that we have old guys come together and vote on who's going to be the next pope, and then just kind of claim that it's the Holy Spirit coming down on each person one after the other without being able to back up that claim. Apostolic succession doesn't really do much for me. Have you heard of the contingency argument? If so, why would you say it doesn't work? The contingency argument. They're like everything. I always need to like relook. I promise I've looked this up before, but I've looked up so many. Yeah, everything has a cause, and everything must be contingent on something else. Sure. We know that we have the Big Bang or the Big Expansion. We have absolutely no idea of what happened before that. So sure, things come from things, but when we can't see past like step 1, we can't make. Sounds like a low-flying airplane. We can't make any distinctions of what was further down the line. What step 2, 3, 10, 50 is. Moses was given a helper, Aaron, to communicate from God to Moses, to Aaron, to Pharaoh. He was. Priests were appointed by laying on of hands and were obedient to the faith. The Holy Spirit guides the teachings of the church. That's a claim that the Holy Spirit, demonstrate that the Holy Spirit exists and does anything. Also, Drew, I've said in the past, investigate philosophy more. Yes, I do need to. It is what allowed me to escape my self-loathing and hope it can do the same for you. Yeah, it might. You know what has helped me and helped me with like my anxiety and stuff? Buddhism. Doing some studying and looking into Buddhism like a year or so ago. I've learned to use some Buddhist teachings and practices to help me manage my anxiety and help me fall asleep at night. Pretty cool. You know, for the people who say like, you know, other religions don't help people, you know, Christianity is the best. You know, you can get good things from other religions, even if you don't agree with the majority of it. You can still pick little useful things out, filter it through. There's also an emphasis on memorization, as they were in an oral culture, so you can say they were more likely to get things right. Yeah, more likely than a bunch of kids playing a game of telephone, sure. I don't think that likelihood would carry them to the extent of, you know, generation after generation, thousands of years. I don't think that would work. I don't think that would get them there. The Bible wasn't compiled together until 382 AD, meaning for the first 300 years we only had a church. So we can't put sole faith in what the Bible teaches. Christ gave us a church. Christ gave us I'm seeing a lot of claims and a lot of like, yeah, we had a church that we had to rely on. We didn't have a book yet, even though after we got the book, there's still been changes and adjustments made to that book.
I saw someone
I
saying,
don't know.
don't trust man, trust God. Man wrote the book.
Don't trust man. Well, man wrote the book supposedly from divine inspiration from God.
But then why would it need to be changed and retranslated and stuff added in? And
why has so much been done to it to make it sound like one univocal story, and it still doesn't sound like one univocal story? Because God works in mysterious ways, dude. Listen, Jesus said that many people would not make it into heaven and would not be saved. So like, you gotta put a reason. He's gotta fuck with us somehow. The book is a claim, it needs proof. The book isn't proof. And a group of people, a church, passing down traditions of beliefs and stuff is also not proof. There's a God-defeating penguin argument that works pretty good. Interesting. I'm not saying the Bible isn't true, just not the only thing that we should trust. Sure, but I'm saying I don't know if I can trust any of it. Church teaching, tradition, oral tradition, the scripture, the secret whatever is hidden in the Vatican basement. I don't know if I can trust any of it. I think Buddhism is half-truth. It promotes disconnection from everything, minimize the negativity, and maximize positivity. Yeah, there's good things to grab from it. Additionally, there was vast variation in the oral traditions. Wouldn't it pop up in manuscripts we have available? There was vast variation in the oral traditions. Wouldn't it pop up in the manuscripts we have available? Well, the Bible already kind of doesn't seem to tell one univocal story, so it already has issues. And two, there are entire books, entire things of scripture, pieces of scripture that were left out of the canon of the Bible. People sat down and chose what versions went into the Bible, and a lot of different versions and a lot of conflicting versions got left out. So a lot of those variations do exist, and we do see them in some of the non-canon books of the Bible, but they weren't chosen to be the canon. People didn't choose them to be canon. Hello. Premise 1: the God-defeating penguin, or the GDP, is defined as a being whose essence entails the defeat of any and all gods. Premise 2: if any god exists, then the penguin necessarily exists. Premise 3: if the penguin exists, then no god exists. Premise 4: therefore, if any god exists, then no god exists. Premise 5: this is a contradiction. Fascinating. It's very interesting. I like that.
Conclusion. Therefore, no God exists.
Conclusion, therefore, no God exists. Yeah. Also, the reason why the Big Bang observation is incompatible is... Sorry, my brain went into slow motion there. Also, the reason why the Big Bang observation is incompatible is partially because the contingency argument is more on a philosophical level than a physically evident one. Yeah. People who changed the Bible were heretics. If Christ gave apostles authority to bind and loose, meaning the church can rule out what is lawful and not, to battle heresy. If the Christ gave authority, bind and loose. Assuming that this Holy Spirit thing exists and that like Jesus is still walking around and that like any of this supernatural stuff is real at all, and that it's not just people making mistakes or maybe choosing a more manipulative passage that's going to keep more people in the fold and get them more power versus like this one that's not going to work as well, or like, you know, unless it just is all humanity and human error and human involvement, and there's no supernatural elements, especially when we can't demonstrate the supernatural elements. Nose piece came disconnected. Just a little worried you might be morally bankrupt, indoctrinated, brainwashed, and incapable of making your own decisions due to a blood magic death cult that worships a magic wizard zombie. So it's a concern. What are we talking about? I don't know. The Bible? Who put it together and how? Gods and stuffs? Okay, I get you can't trust the history, but if you want a physical element, explain Eucharistic miracles. See, I've looked into some. Some seem blatantly made up. Some seem... There are some where it's literally, we didn't think we had enough hosts, and then we had more than enough hosts because God multiplied the amount of hosts that we had. Therefore, it's a Eucharistic miracle, even though like maybe you just had more hosts than you thought you had. Nothing really compelling or credible. You know, we have like the flesh and blood, and it's tested, and it's Jesus's blood. We have no way of testing if it's Jesus's blood or anything like that. So it kind of just depends on the Eucharistic miracle, but they've fallen apart for a variety of different reasons. While as a Christian, I can respect your views, I do not understand why you feel the need to do this debate. If you have free will, and if you want to do that, then fine, but why do you waste your time here? I think Christianity is harmful nonsense, and I think it's worth speaking out against and spreading things like secular humanism, scientific ideas and trust, things of the like. Advocating for things that that Christianity advocates against, like human rights. I can't remember where it is written in the Bible about no longer being offended because of the truth setting us free. Through grace by faith, leading people to good. I can't remember where it is written in the Bible about no longer being offended because of the truth setting us free. Through grace by faith, leading people to God. You shouldn't be offended, you know. You shouldn't be afraid or offended to follow God, I guess. Maybe they had a host surplus. Christ has a blood type AB. They found that Eucharistic miracle from different parts of the world has matched the same blood type. I say this with all love and kindness. How the fuck do you know what Jesus' blood type was? How in the world do we know what Jesus' blood type was?
I'm still here.
No, she's still here. She even hopped in and argued for a little bit earlier. It was cool.
Yeah.
Name one human right the Bible goes against. Women's rights. Women's rights to be seen as equal human beings to men, having rights over their minds and bodies. Overall women's rights. I wasn't trying to give more than one. I was just I was trying to explain the one that I gave. What right does a woman have? What right? I'm sorry. Chat's moving. I'm sorry. What right does a man have that a woman does not exactly? According to the Bible, a woman cannot teach or speak in church. If a man makes a vow, he has to honor it. If a woman makes a vow, her husband or father can veto it. Women can be basically sold as property in marriage to people, to men, and just given away as basically currency exchanges, without getting a say-so or anything like that, to name a few. You test the blood, find the type. If it matches around the world in the Eucharist, it probably is his blood type. I don't think that, no. No, I strongly disagree. If you're going to make claims about Jesus' blood type, you need to tap it from the source. If a whole lot of Eucharistic miracles, because first off, if it matches around the world, I highly doubt, Smokey, I highly doubt that every single Eucharistic miracle has had the same blood type. So some of them would probably be wrong. But it doesn't even matter. Because like I said, you need it from the source. That's not how things work. Thank you for having this live. I hope you have a chat another time, or if you have the floor open for guests, have a good night. Have a good night. Thank you for stopping by. I do usually have a Discord open. I sometimes close it at like hour 15 minutes, hour 30 minutes. You know, it's like if we're at the end of the live and I don't have time to like have a 30-45 minute voice conversation with somebody, I'll pull it off. But I do usually have the Discord up for at least the first like hour of the live. And I usually go live every Tuesday night at around 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, as well as some sporadic lives throughout the week that I try to do here and there. Kitten. Why does blood type even matter? How else does the blood type match in different places in the world, though? His divine revelation. It's divine revelation. Do all Eucharistic miracles have the same blood type? And also, could it be possible that somebody established through maybe one of the first Eucharistic miracles that AB would be, it was the blood that they used, so now all Eucharistic miracles use AB blood types. And they might be faked, you know, the ones that actually have like blood and flesh and stuff might actually be faked. I think that's more likely than some supernatural explanation, because we know that people can fake things, we know people do fake things. We have no demonstration of anything supernatural. So the more likely explanation would be some kind of fakery. Mr. Monkey, I did kick you out of the Discord. I apologize. Had to be done. Yes, they do all have the same type. Science tested it. Authentic blood. You know, I've looked into some of these Eucharistic miracles and like the scientific tests, and get very vague, unreliable backgrounds of some of these scientists. I don't know. Maybe I need to do more research. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've looked into this, and there's really just there isn't enough backing. Also, again, it doesn't matter, for reasons that I just said. They could all be faked and all, go off of AB because that's what the first one was. None of that even matters because we can't test Jesus' blood from the source. We would need that original sample. So we're building on sand, on quicksand, and everything just keeps kind of breaking and falling through. It's just it's not really backed by good, solid evidence. Also, how is the Catholic Church Christianity is evil when we saved more than 8,000 Jews from the Holocaust? How many people did we kill in the Crusades?
How do I not have that message?
Are you not on Top Chat?
On all
Or on
messages.
the All Chat?
All messages.
I have no idea. Yeah, I would look into the history of bloodshed in the Catholic Church. And I would also look into the history of spreading child abuse and misogyny and protecting pedophilia and ethnic cleansing, the church colonization and ethnic cleansing done by the church. I would zoom out more, because the harm is littered with harmful ideals that have harmed a number of people. It might not be as direct as people going and stabbing them, even though the Crusades do exist, but that have led to a lot of bloodshed, a lot of harm, a lot of ethnic cleansing and stuff. There's a lot. You need to look at a little bit more of the history. Most religions do have that history, unfortunately. This is true. Which doesn't excuse the church's history and what it teaches and what it continues to teach and what it has taught throughout human history. With that, I do think I've neared the end of the live. It's about 11 o'clock here. So I do think I'm going to go ahead and dip out. So I've been alive. I've been alive for more than 2 hours. I've been live, I think, for a little over 2 hours now. And it's bedtime. When is the next stream? I usually go live every Tuesday night about 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Apart from that, I like to do different sporadic streams when I have time throughout the week. When I have time and when I feel like it throughout the week.
Pretty much always in the evenings.
Always in the evenings. Yeah. It'll almost always be somewhere between like 9:30, which is when I go live on Tuesdays. So it's around the same time as I do my Tuesday lives, just sometimes different ideas. Jaden, I hope I see you in future streams. We can continue to have more conversations. Because it seems like you have more that you'd like to discuss. But I've been going for over 2 hours, and it's 11. And it's time to chill before bedtime. But I hope to see a lot of you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being here. Even people who have just been lurking, you don't have to engage or like or anything like that. Anyone giving me any amount of attention or anything is greatly appreciated. I'm just a random nobody on the internet. I don't deserve anybody's time of day, I don't think. So any amount of support is greatly appreciated. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, whenever you're watching this. If you're having conversations with people in the chat, I post these live streams afterwards. I don't want to interrupt your conversations with other people. I don't usually engage in comment sections, but if like you're having conversations with somebody in chat, you guys can continue those conversations in the comment section below after I post the video, which it should be posted like very shortly after I end the live, just so I don't cut off your guys' conversations. But apart from that, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your night, day, whenever you're watching this, and hope to see you later. Bye.